Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my latest purchase and my newest project, and this is going to be my FB Radom Beryl chambered in 7.62 by 3.9. So let me go ahead and preface this video and say that I am by no means an AK aficionado or expert. Know quite a bit about ARs. I've had a few different AKs over the years. I want to say that my first like military slash battle rifle type gun was an AK-47. It was a Wasser 10 Century International. I think I bought that at around 2006, 2007 time frame. Pretty sure it's 2006. Got it at a gun show for $319 at the door. And I remember back then that AKs were considered that Wasser 10s were pretty much considered the armpits of the AK world that were assembled by drunken Romanian monkeys. If I remember correctly, that was the terminology that was thrown out there quite a bit. I do want to show real quick, before I go on any further, I'll show you the magazine is empty. Chamber is empty in this gun, so no worries there. But kind of going back to my history with AKs, that was my first one. You get it. It has the crappy wood, I think laminate wood handguards and buttstock on it. Ended up swapping that out for black polymer. At the time, being younger in my gun career, all black rifles were the way to go. Ended up getting rid of it due to just younger career. Didn't make as much money. Kids were younger, and didn't have an AK for a very long time. Fast forward to 2018, probably 2017. Picked up a Century. What is it? Not the Visca. It's the C39 V2. That was it. The C39 V2, milled receiver. Didn't know anything about them at the time, and then I quickly learned that the C39 V2s, at least for that period, they may have changed, or really kind of junk. The metallurgy of the trunnions and the bolt were absolute crap that they would freaking peen over after like 1,000 rounds. So I quickly got rid of that before I even ever shot it. I think the next year after that, I ended up picking up a Arsenal SLR 106 FR, stamped receiver, AK chambered in 5.56. Had that for a little bit, and then ended up, I really wanted a Tavor SAR that I saw a private sale for, especially being it's a left-handed version. Me being left-handed was a little bit rare. I always wanted one. I ended up selling the SLR in order to pick up the Tavor SAR. Kind of wish I still had it, but at the time it was either going to be one or the other. So definitely more of an AR guy. I had almost zero interest in picking up another AK. A few years ago, though, I did pick up a PSA AKV. I always liked the idea of having a 9mm AK. Ended up doing a short barrel rifle on it. Also picked up an IWI Galil Ace Gen 2, which it's based on the AK platform, but definitely a lot more smooth and polished up. And then just recently, and I know I teased it in a short a couple weeks ago, I ended up picking up a Arsenal Sam 7K 55, and I am going to make a video for it on that one, covering it. It's currently out being repaired, though, because I did plan on running my Huxworks Flow 762 Ti on it. But knowing that AKs aren't always concentric, I actually checked that one with an alignment rod on like most of my ARs and 5.56 guns. Found out it was off. So it's out right now being, the threads are going to be repaired, possibly even rethreaded on the 1/2" by 28. So after I got that, the AK bug kind of bit me again. Saw an ad from Atlantic Firearms showing the WBP Jack. I think it was like the tactical model. Already comes with basic Polish AK, had the wire folding stock, has the Surefire Huxworks muzzle device suppressor mount on it, and it came with a blasphemy. I already have a blasphemy, I wouldn't need that, but I was like, all right, so I know for sure this one's going to be concentric from the factory. So was really kind of thinking about buying one of those, but as I did a little bit of research into the forums, found out the jacks, and any of you jack lovers out there, please don't take this wrong. They're not very well regarded guns. I don't know if that is just internet, Reddit, Facebook group hate, and they really are great guns or what. But then I quickly learned about the FB Radom Beryl. So really liked it. Wanted it in 7.62. The actual Polish military Beryls are actually chambered in 5.56. Didn't want a 5.56 gun, wanted the 7.62 by 3.9. And with this model here, typically the real ones, or the legit ones, come with a pressed and pinned on muzzle device, but Arms of America, they give you an option of having, they thread the barrel for you, half by 28. So I went ahead and went that route because I do plan on running my can on this. So kind of really my whole point of this video, and there's lots of videos out there on Beryls by guys that know a lot more about them than I do. So I'm not going to go too much into it. I just kind of want to share my journey of what my Beryl started as, which is this, the basic version of which I got it from Arms of America, to where I end up going to take it. So the Beryl, as they asked, and the gun was used by the Polish military. There were some upgrades that came out of it through the global wear and tear. They offer a Picatinny handguard for the lower and also the top. There is here, and you'll see, some of you guys may notice that there's this lug here on the back. That is to mount a Beryl specific optic mount. You'll see these cuts here that are in the side of the gas block, that, not gas block, I'm sorry, the trunnion, front trunnion, that rides in the grooves here and then ends up clamping down in this point here. It gives you a rock solid mounting option, and then also had a telescoping stock on it, which at first glance looks very AR-15-ish, but obviously specific to the Beryl. And then it also has a larger pistol grip that comes with that has finger grooves on it. So the Nigerian military, they did contract to go ahead and produce the 7.62 version. Again, this is very similar to what this one is here, being your, I guess if you want to call it a plain Jane version of the Beryl. I do have all of the parts on order to turn it over to a Archer conversion. Kind of doubled up on it, ordered some parts off eBay directly from Poland. That should be here in a couple of weeks. But then Arms of America ended up coming in a restock on the whole furniture grip. And besides what I listed, there is also a Ford vertical foregrip that comes with this. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and deck it out in all of that stuff. So one of the things that are a little bit different, or I should say what I was going to do different as far as the optics wise, you know, the Polish military, they use EOTech 512s, maybe 552, I may be wrong about that, for their optic rails. And originally I was going to do this kind of halfway Archer. I was going to get the Picatinny lower. I was going to change out the pistol grip because I hate factory OEM AK pistol grips. And then I was going to keep the buttstock, but I was going to go ahead and add the optic rail here. Now, the older version was a Weaver style, and the newer version they have is Picatinny. Obviously, Picatinny is going to be more favorable, it'll play better with different optic mounts that you have. Difference between them, though, is that besides one being Weaver and one being Picatinny, you can see here, I mean, the rail, and once I get it pieced together, you're going to see the rail rides over the top of the top cover, and the Weaver mount sits lower than the Picatinny mount by a pretty decent bit. And also, though, with the Picatinny, there is a valley that's cut in the middle of it that you can still use your iron sights and co-witness underneath your optic, but it does raise it a little bit higher. So I ordered the Weaver, also ordered the Picatinny, so I'm going to try both of those out and see how I like it. Considering that I was going to only go halfway, I was going to go ahead, I picked up this MRO green dot. I really like how MROs look on AKs. Also picked up another one for my SAM 7K. But now that I'm kind of going the full Archer style package, I'm going to end up going, I bought an EOTech 512, and I'm going to go that route on it instead of going the MRO green dot. So follow along with me, see with the magic of video, you're going to see this thing transform at one time. But as you see it, this is exactly how your standard FB Radom 762 Beryl comes without the full Archer kit, if that is the right term to call it. Along with adding the different furniture on it, obviously I will be adding the Huxworks suppressor mount. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that came with my Flow 762 Ti. 5/8 thread, this is 1/2 inch, so I picked up a K&S Precision thread adapter for it. I am kind of still toying with the idea of just going ahead and paying the money, 130 bucks or so, of picking up a 1/2 inch by 28 threaded one. I don't know, we'll see. And then additionally to that, I am going to go ahead and change out this trigger. What came in it, it's your basic standard AK trigger. It is very clunky, single hook, a little bit gritty, no definitive wall, long reset, but very, very crisp. You see there, definitely nothing to write home about when it comes to the brake. Lots of slack, no discernible wall, hammer brakes. And then again, travel, reset. So, not the best. Definitely used the Geisley triggers in my ARs, but I do also have the ALG in my previous AKs that I've had. A huge improvement. Have one in my AKV, have one in my Galil Ace Gen 2. So, decided to go a little different route on this one. I went with the FIME Enhanced. The FIME Enhanced is really, it's a fraction. I think it's less than half the amount of the ALG. And, you know, normally that's something I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't, it wouldn't bother me. I would go ahead and just spend the extra money. But I have seen conflicting reports of how well the ALG trigger works with the Beryl, because it is a little bit different in here. But I've heard good things about the FIME. A little bit skinnier trigger, a little bit straighter, not as curved as much as this. On my trigger scale, I'm measuring the OEM factory trigger being 7 pounds, pretty much 7 pounds flat, along with that long reset. So very interested to see how the FIME is going to feel, in the FIME Enhanced in comparison to the OEM, if it really lightens it up. If I remember correctly, I think it brings it down like 2.5, 3.5 pounds, something like that, and also shortens the reset. We'll see, I guess. So for now, last looks at the FB Radom Beryl before I start undergoing some of the changes. It said those parts are on the way to me now. They should be here coming up this weekend. It is Thursday night at the moment of filming this. Do plan on running a Surefire M640 DFT turbo on it. Mounting that on a Arisaka inline Scout Pro mount. So push it a little bit forward. In this case, you know, handguard isn't as much of an issue as it is on something like a tiny little handguard like the one that I have here for my Sam 7K. But still, it's going to get it further past and get it nowhere near the muzzle, but at least get it a little push forward a little bit more to eliminate a little bit more of that shadow. So that's about it for now. I will be following up in what will be to you almost instantaneously, but debating on whether I want to take this thing out and shoot it in its stock form the way it is now before I start making the changes to it. So see you in a little bit. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see from the appearance of the gun, all of the upgrades have been taken care of on this already. Like I had mentioned previously in the video, there's lots of good videos out there over the Polish Beryl. And done by people who know a lot more about them than I do. So not going to get too much into the details and the overall of how the Polish Beryl came to be. You know, I touched base a little bit on it. I just want to share my experience with it, in case anybody else is looking to purchase one on their own, or if they are looking to build one together. So I will say that Arms of America, they had restocked on complete guns. I do believe the 7.62x3.9 version is sold out, but the 5.56 version is still available. When they restocked a few days ago, they did also have all of the accessories in stock as well, for going from the rail to the vertical foregrip to the pistol grip, and then also the buttstock. So while I did, you know, obviously if I would have waited another week or so, I would have been able to just order one completely, but that's okay. Really helped me get a little more familiarity with the AK overall. And like I mentioned from my previous AKs, never something's completely different about the Polish Beryl. Never even heard about them until about maybe 3 weeks ago. So let me go ahead and start by giving you guys an overview of what this bad boy looks like now that it's wrapped up with all of the accessories. Oop, bump the camera. Let me go ahead and pull this magazine out, show you guys that we have been safe from the get-go. Chamber's empty. So I'm gonna go ahead and start from the tip here. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it did come with the Beryl style brake on there. I do have my OSS flash hider, or this is actually a brake on there now, along with my KNS thread adapter. Not really feeling this adapter so much, and not for anything reason function wise. I just don't really know how this, I care about how this looks. I am most likely gonna end up just buying a 1/2x28 threaded muzzle device, so I can just forgo this like whatsoever. But that's the first thing I changed. Moving a little bit further back, you can see I added a weapon light on here. I think any gun that you ever make particular use for defense purposes, you definitely have to have a weapon light for that gun. I don't think I've ever seen one with the military having weapon lights on theirs. But what I went with this is the Surefire M640 Turbo, and you know, running the same light on my 11.5 inch. Also running the shorter version, the 340, on my Arsenal Sam 7K. Mentioned before that I was getting the air socket mount for it to allow it to push forward, which is great because it gets it, as you can see, when you grip the gun, your thumb is in just the right spot to activate it. So no pressure switches needed, no extra tail caps, any of that stuff, just the clicky tail cap. Moving on to the handguard. So I did buy a pre-owned or pre-used, I don't know, military surplus Picatinny lower for this. Like I mentioned, I was only going to do it halfway. So I picked this up. Ended up buying the full kit from Arms of America. It's very easy to swap out. This thing is definitely rock solid. There are grooves, well, I should say on the lower rail, you can see it overlaps the receiver on all three sides. So that holds it in nice and tight, and then the front of it's locked in with the handguard retainer. Same story goes for the aft section, except it's kind of opposite. You have pieces that slide underneath and on top. These are spring loaded, so as you go work and tighten down the handguard retainer, you're gonna have to pull back on them and then switch the lever for going up. If it's facing straight up, that means it's locked, and then as you rotate it down, it's 180 degrees the other direction. That'll unlock it, allow you to loosen your handguards. But this handguard is definitely super solid. Going for a sling mount, so there is a sling mount that's underneath here, but because I went with the Arasaka, it does cover that up. So I went with the CQD Classic Picatinny sling mount here. Have that mounted via a HK style hook. And then I have the Vickers Blue Force Gear Vickers AK sling. Now the AK sling comes with that wire loop on there, but I really prefer the hook a little bit more. Moving back, going to the optic rail. This is the Picatinny version. My Weaver rail will be here tomorrow, so maybe next weekend, maybe the weekend after. I'll go over a comparison in between the height differences, you know, how chin weld feels, everything like that, between the Picatinny and the Weaver. Picked up the EOTech 512, got that from Gun Prime. Pretty good deal at 430 bucks. Shipped super fast. Did change that trigger out. I do have a separate video on that one. So I hated the OEM Polish trigger that came in here. The 5 Enhanced really does a really nice job of making that feel better. Pistol grip was finally swapped out. You know, on this unit here, and I do also have a separate unit on getting the T-nut to fit, but being that you don't use that long T-nut, and along with the grip not having a completely hollow cavity, the T-nut in the inside, I did have to grind that down shorter, about 1/4 of an inch, in order for the handguard to fit. And then the buttstock. So got the telescoping buttstock on here. This attaches via 2 screws, probably very similar to the standard AK. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you have one on the outside and one that's on the inside of the receiver. So allegedly, the buttstocks are notoriously hard to remove the screws, which is kind of weird because it has a very, very coarse thread, and they just simply screw into the polymer buttstock. But the forward one on the inside came out easy enough. The one on the aft side or the rear really, really kicked my butt. I ended up having to drill the screw head off and then also down into the shank completely until it drilled past the tang in order to remove the buttstock. Also heard stories that it was really hard to remove the plastic buttstock from the receiver. Fortunately for me, I just had to do is give it a few taps with a rubber mallet and it ended up popping out. So once I got that screw out, changing that out was pretty basic. Like I said, telescoping stock. Having it fully extended really gives you more of that like NATO length feel to it, but of course allows you to adjust down in if you're wearing body armor. What you see here is this cheek riser. Because the optics rail places the optics so much higher, and this right here on the buttstock that runs the same height all the way back. So when you are using an EOTech on the Picatinny riser, I mean, you don't even really get chin weld on these things here. So pot arms, they did come out with this cheek riser here, makes it a lot more comfortable to shoot with the optic. But one of the benefits and changes of the Picatinny optics rail is that you can see here there's a valley in the middle of it. Probably won't be able to capture on camera too well, but it allows you to look underneath your optic and still use your iron sights. It works out very well, but with the pot arms on here, it makes it pretty much impossible. So just again, one of the things that I picked up along the way. But that's about it. That's really the overview of the Polish Beryl. Haven't had a chance to shoot it yet. I know in the last video I said I was debating on trying it out before I change anything. Just didn't get that opportunity this weekend, but the rest of the parts came in, so definitely wanted to get those swapped over. So don't think it's going to be anything momentously different. I guess one thing that I'm really waiting on is to get back my SAM 7K, because along with my SAM 7K is the Huxworks Flow 762 Ti, which had to be sent out because along with the SAM 7K, because while they went to correct the threads, they needed the suppressor itself in order to be able to check for alignment and concentricity. So overall, super cool gun. Definitely, not being an AK guy, having these tactical version out, have been a little bit wary of those, but being as this is somewhat of a military clone, having all this stuff on here, I don't know, it really increases the cool factor. So if you are out there looking for a AK and you want something that's decent, it's good, tried and proven, but isn't as expensive as some of the other brands out there, whether it be Rifle Dynamics. I think Meridian's pretty expensive. The Polish Beryl coming from the factory, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about the Beryl whatsoever. The finish on them, I think it's kind of like an enamel finish, and I heard it can kind of wear a little bit, but that's nothing. That's nothing to worry about whatsoever. But yeah, check it out. Looking for a 762 by 39, or even if a 5.56, so the FB Radom Beryl is an awesome choice. And getting it all decked out here in this configuration, the Archer configuration, if that's the right way, super cool. So hope you enjoyed the content. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Get updates on all the videos that I release. And then, again, being that FB Radom has released a whole bunch of new stock of these things, it seems like these things have get more and more popular as time goes on. Look back at all the historical posts on social media. So seem to be super hot right now. Go check them out. Hopefully that can help anybody out who's possibly thinking about picking one of these up. Don't anticipate having any problems with it operationally. Of course, you never know till you actually shoot it itself, but Again, I don't think I've heard of anybody complain about them overall. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one.